Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The 10-Minute In-Service, 40 Quick Training Sessions That Build Teacher Effectiveness, by Annette Breaux and Todd Whitaker. Narrated by Bauer. How to use this book. If you're an administrator or a staff developer, your days are already crammed with meetings, projects, and crises. Still, you're charged with finding ways to maximize teacher effectiveness. So we've given you 40 simple, easy-to-implement in-services designed to improve teaching and learning, each of which can be completed in 10 minutes. Even the book's design is deliberately simple, its format easy to follow. Each in-service is divided into 3 parts. 1. Purpose. 2. In-service. 3. Implementation. In other words, the 3 sections will tell you what each in-service will accomplish, give you the content, and then tell you exactly how to move from talk to action. There's no particular order to the in-services. Some do refer back to the previous in-service or build on its lesson, but each stands alone, and you can skip around as your teacher's needs require. There is no right or wrong way to use the book. Decide which in-services will work for you and when you'd like to use them. Each in-service will give you a quick, effective way to provide useful, meaningful, ongoing training for your teachers. And they've all been designed to take the least possible amount of time. Because our focus was on in-services that can be conducted in a short amount of time, there are some topics that we have not been able to cover as they are too complex to tackle in a mini-workshop. These include differentiation, data analysis, and assessment, to name a few. However, the in-services provided here cover topics that are vital for good teaching, and implementing them with your staff should lead to school-wide improvement. Be sure to have a pen and a pad to jot down notes. Use the notepad when you're preparing for the in-service, and use it again after you conduct the in-service to add ideas and document results. These notes will prove invaluable the next time you conduct the in-service. If you are a principal, you might choose to conduct all the in-services yourself. You might also choose to use a staff development trainer or one of your assistant administrators to conduct some of the in-services. If you have new teachers on staff, they will benefit from all the in-services, so you may choose to have one of your new teacher mentors or your new teacher induction coordinator use this book as an ongoing course. If your teachers meet regularly by grade level or subject area, this book can easily coordinate with those meetings. And it's a perfect fit for professional learning communities. Basically, this book will benefit any teacher, any administrator, and any staff development professional. Think of it as a quick, easy, meaningful, doable professional development. Introduction. Do you want to see your students' achievements soar? Then improve the teaching in your school. It really is that simple. How, though, do you improve teaching when you don't have time to grab a cup of coffee, let alone monitor every teacher's classes, hold private review sessions with them, and conduct weekly faculty meetings? It's not even practical to take up an entire faculty meeting with teaching demonstrations. Everybody's too busy. So we'll show you how to accomplish your goals with simple, clear-cut 10-minute in-services. Who says faculty meetings have to last an hour? One of the most important goals of every faculty meeting should be for all teachers to walk out more excited about teaching and more effective tomorrow than they were today. In this book, we'll show you how to conduct brisk, efficient 10-minute in-services that will improve teaching immediately. Teachers will look forward to these meetings, and you, the administrator or staff developer, will become a more effective instructional leader. Fact: better teaching leads to better student learning and improved student outcomes. As an administrator or staff developer, you want to ensure that all teachers are continually improving. Basically, there are 3 types of teachers: ineffective teachers, good teachers, and great teachers. You're responsible for helping all 3 groups improve their effectiveness. The ultimate goal, of course, is to have nothing but great teachers in your school. The day that happens, you can relax and start your novel. But in the meantime, there are quick, specific steps you can take to make an immediate difference in the quality of teaching in every single classroom. If you take an ineffective teacher and help that teacher become better, you have just improved student achievement in that teacher's classroom. That's not to say that this teacher is now a great teacher. Chances are good that he isn't. We're also not suggesting that this teacher's students will outscore the students in better teachers' classrooms. That's not realistic. But the teacher will be better, and that is what we're focusing on: improvement. If a teacher simply cannot improve, then he or she shouldn't be teaching, period. If you take a good teacher and help that teacher improve, again, you have just improved student achievement in that teacher's classroom. And if you take a great teacher and help her improve, you have just ratcheted her students' achievements even higher. Now every student in your school has improved. Great school leaders aren't aiming to make every teacher perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect teacher. Instead, great leaders continually strive to help each teacher, whether ineffective, good, or great, improve on a daily basis. The 10-minute in-service will show you how to improve both teaching and learning in the fastest, easiest way possible. You'll be making yourself a great leader 10 minutes at a time. Part 1. Classroom Management. In-Service 1. Securing Students' Attention. Purpose. Fact 1. All effective teachers are effective classroom managers. Fact 2. Even the most effective teachers work diligently to continually improve their classroom management skills. Fact 3. Not all teachers are effective classroom managers. Fact 4. Without effective management skills, effective teaching cannot occur. Fact 5. All teachers possess the ability to become more effective, yet many fail to do so because they lack management skills. This leads us back to Fact 1. All effective teachers are effective classroom managers. Any administrator will admit that if all teachers were effective classroom managers, discipline problems would be dramatically diminished, and learning would improve instantly. Though we are not downplaying the importance of content knowledge, all the content knowledge in the world will not make someone an effective classroom manager. You cannot teach any of the content effectively until you can manage the students. Thus, in the classroom of a teacher who lacks effective management skills, effective teaching simply cannot occur. Believe it or not, what many administrators and staff developers fear most about conducting an in-service is securing and keeping the attention of their audience. Have you ever attended an in-service and watched the presenters struggle and fail to get and keep everyone's attention? Or an in-service where attendees spoke out of turn? Or an in-service whose presenter, as a last resort, strained her voice to present over the talking of attendees? Those are not effective in-services. Likewise, have you ever observed a teacher struggling to get and keep his students' attention? That's not an effective lesson. The good news is that there is a simple, effective solution, and that's the focus of today's in-service. In-service. Begin today's in-service by asking your teachers, what is the most important procedure that any teacher must have? Allow them a couple of minutes to share their answers. When they have finished, tell them that all of their answers are good and valid. However, the single most important procedure any teacher needs is a way of securing the student's attention. Having established that fact, ask the next question. What is your procedure for securing your student's attention? In other words, what is the one thing you do consistently every time you need the attention of your students? Far too many teachers do not have one procedure solidly established for securing their students' attention. You know this already, of course, based on your ongoing observations of your teachers. Some say, "I need your attention." If saying this doesn't work the first time, they repeat it, often 3 or 4 times until it does. If "I need your attention" still doesn't work, they try variations. "Excuse me, stop the talking." Some resort to threats. And most of these teachers look unhappy while they're trying to get their students' attention. The list of methods is long, but the results are the same: chatty, distracted students. Your best teachers, of course, will be happy to share some effective techniques for securing student attention. Though the sharing of ideas is important, keep in mind that this is a training session and that you are the trainer. You'll want to demonstrate an effective way of securing students' attention. Here is ours. Feel free to use it. Tell the students, "There will be times when I will need your undivided attention. When I need your attention, I will do 2 things. Here's what I will do." At this point, smile and raise your hand. Ask the students, "What 2 things do you see me doing?" Note that they will almost always notice the smile first. Once they have answered, say, "When you see me doing these 2 things, I need for you to stop talking and raise your hand. That will be your signal to me that I have your attention." Then say, "Now we will practice it. When I say go, start talking as much as you'd like. When I raise my hand and smile, stop talking and raise your hand. Go." Note that you will be demonstrating this for the teachers, so they will be the students for this activity. Allow the room to get noisy. Then smile and raise your hand, and do not begin speaking until all hands are raised and the room is quiet again. It will take only a few seconds, by the way. You will also notice that some of the teachers, students, will smile also, though this is not a condition of the procedure. Smiles are contagious, and smiling teachers experience far fewer power struggles with their students. Okay, so here you are, smiling and raising your hand. When everyone is quiet, say, "Thanks for following the procedure." But just so you know, students won't follow it that quickly, so you will simply continue to practice the procedure with your students. Remind them when they forget. Continue to implement the procedure consistently with a smile on your face. The moment you appear upset, they win, you lose, and no procedure will work. Remind your teachers that procedures apply to all grade levels. There's nothing elementary about them. Professional football coaches implement procedures and practice them over and over and over every day. That's how their teams win. Finally, remind your teachers that classroom management begins to go awry when teachers stop being consistent. The bottom line is that you have to have a way, one way, of reliably securing your students' attention. You have to use that procedure consistently, and if you do so with a pleasant look on your face, you remove the allure of a power struggle. Tell your teachers that you will use this procedure with them for faculty meetings from here on out. It's also a great idea to implement a school-wide procedure for student assemblies. Implementation. You have demonstrated for your teachers a procedure for securing students' attention. Now you want them to go to their classrooms and implement this new procedure. If some teachers already have a procedure that works well for them, then tell them to continue it by all means and to share it with their colleagues. Your teachers don't have to use the exact procedure that you've shared. You simply want them to implement one consistent procedure for securing the attention of their students. It is important to note, however, that whatever procedure they implement should have 2 components. 1, it has to be consistently implemented, and 2, they have to look happy while they are implementing it. Tell the teachers that you will be walking through classrooms this week, and in the future, observing their procedures for securing students' attention. When you meet a teacher in the hallway, especially one who struggles with classroom management, ask how the new procedure is working. Once you have each teacher implementing a consistent procedure for securing student attention, discipline problems will improve immediately. And now that your teachers have a way of securing attention, they can move forward in establishing better overall classroom management. Stay on top of this one and continue to monitor its implementation. Teachers who are consistent have fewer students who are resistant. In-Service 2. Establishing Rules and Procedures. Purpose. Have you ever noticed that your best teachers have the fewest discipline problems? Is it because you've given them the best-behaved students in the school? Probably not. Have you noticed that your best teachers almost always possess the happiest demeanors in the school? Who wouldn't be happy when their students are behaving so well? Yet you may have also noticed that these teachers have the fewest rules of anyone in the school. Have you noticed that the few rules they do have are enforced consistently? Your best teachers will tell you that they rarely have to discipline a student for breaking a rule. Yet those same students are breaking rules left and right in the classrooms of other teachers. So what are the secrets known only to the very best teachers? Not only will we share these secrets, but we'll guarantee that anyone who implements them will begin to experience fewer discipline problems. Speaking of problems, let's establish just what the main problem is when teachers are struggling to manage their classrooms. If you walk through almost any school, you will notice that most teachers post their rules somewhere on a classroom wall. Notice that there is often a rule to raise your hand before speaking. It can be stated in many ways, but the point is that this particular rule has something to do with talking. This is a giant red flag. It alerts you that these teachers do not understand the difference between rules and procedures. And because the most basic components of classroom management are rules and procedures, good classroom management will be lacking in these classrooms. Regrettably, many teachers do not possess a basic understanding of classroom management because they've never been taught the difference between rules and procedures. Today, you will teach them. And, by the way, knowing the difference between rules and procedures and implementing them consistently is the first secret to the success of your very best teachers. Another secret is that they have very few rules and lots of procedures. By the end of today's 10-minute in-service, all your teachers will know what the best teachers have already figured out. In-service. After greeting each teacher today as he or she enters the faculty meeting, use the procedure you established in In-Service 1, securing students' attention. Spend a minute or two allowing a few to share how their new procedures for securing student attention have been working. Remind them that consistently implementing such a procedure was necessary to get them to the next step of classroom management. Tell your teachers that today you will be sharing some of the secrets of effective classroom managers. These secrets will help them have fewer discipline problems. Share the fact that many teachers, through no fault of their own, do not understand the difference between a rule and a procedure. And because clearly established rules and procedures are the key to effective classroom management, a lack of understanding of the difference between the two can lead to many discipline problems. Provide the following example to prove your point. Some teachers have a rule about talking. Yet talking is not a serious offense. An aggravating offense? Yes. A serious offense? No. Because rules regulate serious offenses only, then talking out of turn falls under the category of procedure as opposed to rule. Rules and procedures simplified. A rule regulates a serious offense. A procedure is simply a way that you want something done in your classroom. The same way every time. When a student breaks a rule, a consequence follows. When a student does not follow a procedure, you remind him of the procedure and practice it with him if necessary. You should never have more than 5 rules. You should have many procedures. An example of a rule: we agree not to hit each other. Fighting is a serious offense. Examples of procedures include how to walk to lunch, how to ask permission to speak, how to get into and out of groups, what to do if you need a pencil sharpened, and how to pass in papers. You will probably notice that once teachers are clear about the difference between rules and procedures, most will have trouble thinking of 5 rules. Some have only 1 or 2. This is fine, as long as those 1 or 2 are enforced consistently. Make the point that all effective classroom managers have lots of procedures. However, they do not implement them all at once. Rather, they implement the most important ones first. such as a procedure for securing the attention of their students, and they continue to add a few at a time. In the classrooms of effective managers, students are never confused about what is expected of them. The procedures are discussed, modeled, and practiced. When a student forgets, he is reminded of the correct procedure. If practice is needed, it is provided by the teacher. If a rule is broken, there is no discussion. Rather, there is a consequence. The students know this, so there is no element of surprise. They do much less testing of the teacher to see how much they can get away with. Structured, pre-established rules and procedures, followed consistently, equal a well-managed classroom every time. Please note, and share with your teachers, that chronic misbehavior can lead to consequences for one or two particular students. For instance, if a teacher has a procedure for talking out of turn, and one student continues to talk out of turn after much practice and many reminders, then the teacher might need to inform the student that the next time he talks out of turn, there will be a consequence. Teachers should be very cautious about this, of course. Doling out a consequence for violating a procedure should be used only when the misbehavior is chronic, not simply because the teacher is aggravated. As we stated, rules are used to regulate serious offenses. Although talking out of turn is not a serious offense, it can lead to consequences if and when the behavior becomes a chronic problem. In In-Service 3, Effective Ways to Address Misbehavior, we will share a strategy that works beautifully when dealing with chronic talkers. Implementation. Knowing the secrets to successful classroom management is not enough. You have to be able and willing to implement them. So now, send your teachers off with a two-part assignment. 1. Have each decide on no more than 5 rules and introduce those rules to the students. 2. Have each determine their procedures and begin implementing and practicing them. Note that in In-Service 3, Effective Ways to Address Misbehavior, we will provide a strategy for dealing with a student who does not follow a particular procedure. Today's goal is to ensure that all teachers are clear on the difference between rules and procedures, so that they can begin implementing both on a consistent basis. When students are clear on exactly what they can and cannot do in the classroom, and when they know that the teacher is consistent in enforcing rules and practicing procedures, they are much more likely to actually follow the rules and procedures. Ask any effective classroom manager. In-Service 3. Effective Ways to Address Misbehavior. Purpose. When a student does something inappropriate in class, he is usually expecting the teacher to react in a certain way. He knows he has an audience, his classmates, and he is often putting on a performance. Many teachers make the mistake of dealing with this type of student in front of his audience, and the behavior rarely improves. In fact, a bad situation usually worsens. Great teachers, of course, have effective ways of dealing with this type of student. They talk one-on-one, in private, diffusing any hope of a power struggle or an Oscar-winning performance on the part of the student. In In-Service 2, Establishing Rules and Procedures, you taught all of your teachers the difference between rules and procedures, and you sent them off to establish their own. Undoubtedly, your weakest teachers are complaining that some students just won't follow the procedures. Remember, you gave them the worst students in the school. But, in their defense, most of these teachers are doing the best they can with the skills they possess. They have not yet fully grasped the concept of classroom management, and they still lack a full bag of tricks. They continue to engage in power struggles with students, forgetting that they are the adults in the classroom. They still don't understand how important it is to be consistent in enforcing rules and implementing procedures. The good news is that through these in-service sessions, you are helping stock their bags with useful strategies for dealing with student misbehavior. Regarding those teachers who are already effective classroom managers, please don't ever feel that you will be boring them with unnecessary in-service sessions. On the contrary, your very best teachers are always looking to add to their own bag of tricks. They are also silently high-fiving you for helping the less effective teachers change their ways. Today we will share one of our favorite ways to break a student, of any age, of an inappropriate behavior. In-service. After greeting your teachers as they enter the in-service and using your procedure for getting attention, say, "In previous in-services, we have discussed ways to secure students' attention and to establish clear rules and procedures with them. Have you had any students who occasionally still don't follow all of your procedures? Do you have students who are chronic talkers and are failing to raise their hands and ask for permission to speak?" By the way, even your best teachers occasionally experience such situations, so you will have the rapt attention of all your teachers. Tell them that today you will be sharing an effective technique for dealing with a student who is behaving inappropriately or is regularly ignoring one of your procedures. Note that we are not talking about a student who fails to follow a procedure once or twice. Here's the technique: the private practice session. Note that although you will be dealing with a chronic talker in this example, the technique can be used with any misbehavior. When a student is chronically talking out of turn, meet with the student privately and say, in a tone of concern and not frustration, "I've noticed that you're having trouble remembering our procedure for raising your hand before speaking. Don't be too hard on yourself for forgetting. I'm an adult and I often forget things. But I know how embarrassing it can be to forget so often in front of your friends. So here's what I'm willing to do for you. I will give you my recess today and practice with you so that you will become really good at following that procedure and be less likely to forget. I'm happy to do that for you. See you at recess." That's it. In essence, you are pretending that you think that the student is just forgetting to raise his hand. Surely he would not be purposely ignoring the procedure. The key is that you are not at all sarcastic, and that you tell the student you are willing to give of your own time to help him. Do you see what you just did? You did not take his recess from him, but rather you gave him yours. So the student comes in at recess, and you say, "Thanks for coming in. Okay, now pretend that we are in class and you have something you want to say. Show me what you'll do." The student slowly raises his hand, and you say, "Great. I can give you 15 more minutes of practice. Do you think you need more practice, or do you feel you have it now?" The student always says, "I have it." Then say, "Great, see you tomorrow. Oh, if you forget again tomorrow, that's my fault. That simply means I didn't give you enough practice. I'll even stay after school for you if you need. Just let me know." Please note that this technique takes less than a minute, so the good news is that you do not lose your own recess after all. And if you teach in a school where there is no recess, you can use this technique between classes, during your planning period, during class while the other students are working independently, during lunch, and so on. One final note. Some teachers may ask, well, what if the student does not show up at recess? The answer is simple. Go and find him and say, "Oh, you must have forgotten that you and I have a practice session. Let's go." And you do this with a smile on your face. Implementation. This week's assignment is for all teachers to use the private practice session at least once with a student. Chances are good that they will have more than one opportunity to try the new technique, but you're only asking for each to try it at least once. If they implement it appropriately, they'll be using it from here on out. End the session by saying, "The private practice session strategy is a simple one that produces amazing results. Anyone who tells you that private practice sessions with students don't work has obviously never tried them or is not using them appropriately. Practice makes perfect, doesn't it? So practice your private practice sessions, and you'll soon see fewer behavior indiscretions." In-service 4. Sharing classroom management tips. Purpose. You have spent the 3 previous in-services providing simple, useful, easy-to-implement techniques for improving classroom management. However, no teacher ever finishes learning to manage a classroom. Your best teachers are always hungry for new tips, tricks, and strategies, and your less-than-best teachers desperately need them. Today, your teachers will receive yet more tips, techniques, and strategies for improving classroom management. But this time, they will be learning from each other. In-service. Begin today's in-service by sharing the following poem. How does one manage a classroom? How does one manage a classroom? Is it really...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?